Hey y'all, this is Son Elias with Crescent City Conjure, and today I wanted to talk about um, what's happening in the African American community as far as how we're interacting with our ancestors. Because when we say that hoodoo is folk magic, we're saying that African American people are the folk within that folk magic. So what we're experiencing as a community is important and has a direct impact on our spirituality, on hoodoo, conjure, and root work. So it's really important to keep your finger on the pulse of the new generation of people who are coming up and practicing this, because they're the ones that are going to show you and teach you what the ancestors are saying now. So because of their interaction with the work, hoodoo is organic. It's an organic tradition. It grows with the people. So there's always a new expression. And when I mean new, I don't mean like you're reinventing something. It's still the bones of the tradition, but it's expressing something different. And for me, my personal experience of it is that the message is we have a history beyond slavery. And so when a lot of times people take hoodoo back to slavery days, and yeah, it's true that a portion of it was formed during that time, but there was another portion of it that predates that when we weren't slaves. So we need to also claim that, like civilizations and kings and queens and success and organization, stuff like that as well, not just oppression. We need to factor all of that into what our work means to us. And so for me, it's important for us to start looking a little more into the direction of how do we reclaim a connection to Africa? How do we reclaim, um, that we are the roots of the work? How do we say that, and how do we express that in a way that still shows love, still shows that you're trying to include people and not be exclusive? So I think it's really important to understand that the newer generation is saying something too, and that we, since I think I'm a part of that generation, have something to say. So earlier today, I made a post on Facebook that the ancestors are expressing themselves through the new generation of conjure men and women, and they're pissed. And when someone asked me to go a little more into detail about that, so I'm going to do that. I have a shop, right? Crescent City Conjure in New Orleans. And so a lot of people come to me with concerns and questions and stuff like that. So I have a unique opportunity to have a lot of conversations with a lot of young African American people who are seeking hoodoo, root work, and conjure. And from my experience, what is happening is that the information that they're able to, the information that's out there, the information that they have access to, easy access to, doesn't go deep enough into the practices. It doesn't really go into the history of hoodoo, root work, and conjure. And what's more important is that it doesn't go into the race factor of hoodoo, root work, and conjure. And it must be understood that there is a factor of race that is involved with hoodoo, root work, and conjure. That's not to say that someone outside of a certain race can't practice, but the dynamics of the work itself also have a factor based in race. So for people to have that conversation is difficult, I understand, but it's also absolutely necessary to the structure of the conversation about what hoodoo, root work, and conjure really is. And I think that African Americans should start speaking up a little bit more about their heritage, about what belongs to them, and saying this is our contribution to history, to when we're talking about occult practices, folk magic, all of those other things. African Americans have to say this is how we specifically influenced this culture of occultism in a way. And so there's so many different aspects of hoodoo that I think a lot of people neglect, or never learn about at all, or don't really understand. And I think it takes a long time to kind of relearn those things after you. I'm gonna be honest, like a lot of the people writing books now on hoodoo are not black people. Like white people are writing books on hoodoo, and so I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. So if I post this, Just know it takes a lot of courage to post something like this, but but I do want to tell the truth. Like a lot of the books are written by Caucasian people, right? So they're missing a very important factor. They're missing the cultural experience. That's how it kind of gets the message gets distorted because it's kind of taken out of context a bit. So when you're talking to someone who is African American, you're going to get a different experience than if you're talking to someone who is not African American just because of culture. It's not no one's better or worse than anyone else. It's just culture. Culturally, we're having two different conversations. So I just want you to understand that. I think this is a really important topic, though. I think this is a really important topic. Otherwise, I wouldn't talk on it. And so I just want everyone to know, like, with all things, there are facts, right? And the fact is that the way that hoodoo, rootwork, and conjure in particular made it to America was through the transatlantic slave trade. So that will always be the roots of this. It will always be the roots of this. And there are other things that we can debate about, but ancestral veneration, where it came from, the history of it, how it made its way through our families and our homes, those are things that don't change. Will always be the foundation of the work. So just understand that this new generation of workers, this new generation of workers are the ambassadors for our ancestors. The newest generation of workers are the ambassadors for our ancestors. All right, they're getting it directly through, and so it's our job to really listen and understand where they're coming from. To negate that, for one, I think first off, it's very irresponsible, but also the expression that I get is very angry. It's very angry. It's very fiery, and so not angry at any one thing in particular, just fiery, very hot, very warrior spirit. That's what comes through for me, and I think it's coming through for a lot of young African American people. And I think the ancestors are saying we're going to bridge a gap. We're going to bridge a gap between the older elders and the newer people. The younger generation of conjure, root work, and hoodoo, because there's been just so much misinformation. There's been so much misinformation. Now we have to express ourselves directly and speak about what's going on. And so that's when I say my ancestors, that's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about that direction that says move forward against all odds, survive. That's the blood in the work. So I hope that answered that question. And yeah, until next time, guys, I'll see you. This is Sin Elias of Crescent City Conjure. See you next time. Bye.